Hi, I'm Ethan Collins, and welcome to my informative video project on food insecurity. This video will be covering the issue of food insecurity affecting children and youth in both the United States and Canada. This is a very important topic to discuss because food insecurity is a growing problem in today's society. Additionally, food insecurity that affects children is especially significant because of the potential negative effects on the youth development and the long-term consequences that it may have on the children and youth who are affected. So, by first defining and analyzing the issue, then discussing the media representations and perspectives on the subject, and lastly, looking at the organizations, policies, and programs that are involved with the topic, I hope to provide viewers with a more insightful understanding of the issue at hand. Defining food insecurity is the first step in a better understanding this issue. The term food insecurity, according to Statistics Canada, refers to the difficulty to purchase or obtain the recommended quantity of nutritious foods or food in general because of a lack of financial resources. This video will be covering the notion of food insecurity pertaining to youth and children, which include anyone aged 1 to 17. I'll now go over a few key findings I found during my research that show how this is a social issue that requires much attention. Firstly, as stated by Lee and colleagues, over 1.5 million Canadian children struggle with food insecurity in 2022. Moreover, Public Health Ontario reports that in 2019, over 15% of children in Ontario dealt with food insecurity. Turning to the United States now, it is reported by Coleman, Jensen, and colleagues that in the U.S., 6.8% of children were food insecure in 2020. Since all of these rates are rising over previous years, it is clear that more needs to be done to address this problem before it expands at an even quicker pace. Food insecurity can negatively affect someone's mental health as well as their physical health, especially in the case of children. For example, children who experience food insecurity may experience stress due to feelings of shame about their circumstances, according to Public Health Ontario. In addition, according to Key and Ford Jones, food insecurity is known to have a detrimental impact on concentration and productivity and can raise a child's risk of developing depression. Furthermore, Gallegos and colleagues report that these kids may be at higher risk for anxiety. In general, these effects can make learning environments in schools challenging for kids experiencing food insecurity. Also, Gallegos and colleagues indicate that food insecurity has a number of negative effects on physical health, including raising health risk for children in the future. Food insecurity's detrimental effects on children can be attributed to a variety of socioeconomic factors, such as marginalization, family structures, and caregivers with low incomes and a lack of schooling. Poor income is the most obvious and one of the leading factors towards food insecurity, and this applies to any age demographic. Food insecurity among children is significantly influenced by family structures in both Canada and the US. For instance, Gunderson and Zyliak discovered that children who live in households with a single primary caregiver are more likely to be food insecure. Moreover, as Public Health Ontario notes, marginalized and racialized populations have much higher rates of food insecurity than any other group, showcasing that inequality is a crucial idea to keep in mind when analyzing the causes for the aforementioned effects. These socioeconomic factors can be considered as the root causes of children's food insecurity in the United States and Canada. Now that I've established a base for this issue and its effects on youth and children, the focus can be shifted onto how this particular issue is viewed and represented in both the media and public perception. I watched 2 videos about food insecurity and examined a student blog from the Canadian Public Health Association to gain a better understanding of how this topic is portrayed in the media. Links to these media will be included in my bibliography. The first video is by Global News and focuses on the mental health effects that food insecurity may cause in youth and children. Much like the other 2 pieces of media that I have chosen, there is a focus on how more long-term policies must be formed to address food insecurity. The reason I chose to examine these representations is because they each showcase how short-term solutions cannot bring about an efficient way to handle this issue. This perfectly shows that these media representations can have a positive effect on policies surrounding the issue of food insecurity and food insecurity affecting children. When discussing media portrayals, it is very important to understand the dominant perspective. The dominant perspective on how food insecurity affects young people and children appears to be that it is a serious problem with grave health risk based on information presented in these media representations. Furthermore, it appears that the prevailing viewpoint holds that public policies need to start doing a better job of addressing food insecurity in general, as well as among children. While I personally agree with these media representations, I have observed that many people appear to downplay the importance of the subject when considering how this issue is perceived by the general public. When food insecurity is discussed, food banks are frequently brought up by people. However, this is not the best course of action because, as will be discussed later, food banks and other temporary solutions are insufficient to address the problem permanently. In all, the majority of media portrayals of this subject are informative and educational, allowing viewers to gain a deeper understanding of the problem associated with food security and food insecurity among children. I've said time and time again in this video that this problem needs to be effectively addressed in relation to policies, programs, and organizations. But how is it being handled right now? Food insecurity has grown into an important issue within society, and there are numerous organizations aiming to improve the issue involved with food insecurity among children in both Canada and the US. Many organizations that address food insecurity are nutrition programs and organizations. Coleman Jensen and colleagues reports that there are numerous organizations in the US that address food insecurity among youth and children, with the main ones being the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, WIC for short, and the National School Lunch Program. Each of these programs and organizations seeks to address food insecurity amongst children through nutrition programs. While this might help short term, as mentioned earlier, it does not address the issue long term, much like food banks. The fact that most of these policies take a somewhat short-term approach highlights that they are not as effective as other approaches could be. As reported by Lee et al. And Kay and Ford Jones, as well as Gunderson and Zilak, current policies does not create many long-term solutions to the issue at hand. Thus, in order to appropriately address food insecurity among children, policies must be formed that address the socioeconomic issues involved in this concept. In the past, food insecurity pertaining to children and food insecurity in general were topics not adequately addressed when it came to research, media, and policies. However, food insecurity has gained some popularity in contemporary society and is beginning to receive more attention. That said, food insecurity pertaining to children is still very much in need of more long-term solutions. So, many questions still remain, such as, how can food insecurity among children be further addressed in order to discover and develop more long-term solutions? And are there additional causes and effects of childhood food insecurity that can be uncovered with further research? Also, how might food insecurity affecting children differ in other countries? In summary, food insecurity affects children in both the United States and Canada. It is a significant socioeconomic issue because it can have a negative impact on a child's development and lead to a number of negative outcomes, both physical and mental. These outcomes are primarily caused by socioeconomic factors such as family structure, inequality, and low-income caregivers. As a result, policies must place less emphasis on short-term nutrition approaches and more emphasis on a larger issue of poverty, as reported by the media. In conclusion, I hope you have a better understanding of the problem I have raised regarding poverty after reviewing this video.